Hey, how's it going, everybody? So I'm out here in the garage tonight. Uh, was gonna start trying to modify this factory fender, but of course, it gets to the point where I'm in the middle of cutting something and the batteries die. So I switch out to another battery and that one's dead. So I figure might as well get on here and see if I bugs in here. Um, let you guys know what I've been up to. Um, so the video I'm putting together is kind of a hodgepodge of things I've been working on. Uh, the car I've been my car that I've been working on. Um, Also, a family member of mine's car that they had put into a snowbank over the winter time, and I am in the process of fixing some of it, and then they're getting more parts, and I'm going to be fixing the rest of it. Um, but right now I'm just out in the garage. Engine bay is kind of still in the same condition. My buddy Jose has not been back over in a little while to finish sealing up that hole and finish doing some of the sanding and body work on the engine bay. But I got a factory fender. As much as I would like to buy a wide body front end, I just want to kind of keep the front end as factory as possible looking. Keep it more like a street car. But I'm going to modify this fender a little bit. Try and widen it a little bit, because there is this section here that I could probably modify, bend out a little bit to cover more of the slick when it's on. And then I also have taken the suspension off of my 93 Civic and put it on this Integra. These are also the wheels that I've had for years. This is the first time they're going on this car. But I found out that the 93 Civic suspension, the EG suspension, will fit on a DA Integra. Most of the places you look up, they say that the suspension pieces are different, that they don't fit, they don't swap back and forth. But what I'm finding out is they actually do fit. I've actually put like the front coilovers on, and I've already tested those. That was months back. What else did I put on there? I did the front coilovers. I did the front lower forks that fit those coilovers. And I did the front spindles. The front spindles, I've actually found out, they actually take a lot of the camber out of these cars. Putting a 93 Civic, like an EG spindle on the front end of a 93 Integra. Because I used to have problems even with putting upper control arms, like adjustable upper control arms on. I still had like, I don't know how much exactly it was back in the day when I was racing this car, but I want to say it was like 2 degrees of camber still, even with adjustable upper control arms. And it wasn't like it was slammed either. It was low enough to where it looked good, but it was also still usable. Unlike some of these guys that slam these cars, they're basically dragging the damn pinch welds on the ground. But I found out when I put those EG spindles on here that it took a lot of the camber out, and I'm actually able to adjust the camber a little bit more and probably get it closer to a 0, or maybe just a little bit, like half a degree of camber or something like that. But now that I've been able to take the time to get my old Civic over here, not a storage. I've gotten the rear suspension off of it and the lower control arms swap over. They're the same length, same spread on the bolt patterns, or the bolt holes, I should say. Coilovers, I figured the coilovers would fit perfectly on the back, but I wanted to make sure like an aftermarket coilover like top hat would fit up inside the strut tower and not bend anything or like hit anything, that because they're more flat and they're a little bit wider at the top. So I wanted to make sure they aren't going to like bend anything at the top of the strut tower when you bolt them down. And they haven't. I mean, they're like almost the same exact size. They haven't bent anything. They haven't touched anything that hasn't been touched by a factory strut. So it's actually kind of nice. I'm going to be able to run basically all my suspension from my Civic on my Integra and not have to go through and buy all new stuff. So little by little, I'm going through this stuff. I'm waiting to get some money together to buy brake master cylinders and clutch master cylinder to actually finish off the brake pedal bracket. Because I don't want to drill holes in the pedal assembly bracket until I have basically the length of how long the whole pedal assembly is going to be up inside the dashboard, because I don't want to drill the holes and then find out they're going to be longer or the fitting's going to stick out a little bit further and it's going to hit something. So I'd rather wait until I get the master cylinders bolted on there, know exactly what the length's going to be, where the fitting is going to stick out. That way I know I can either push the pedal assembly closer to the firewall or I could pull the pedal assembly further out towards the dashboard. And I'm not going to be banging into nothing, not going to be struggling to get lines on it. Stuff like that. It's just one of those things that it's a waiting game because, you know, I've got regular everyday bills, things that need to be done before this thing gets worked on. Parts get paid for this. So this video, just like I said, will be, I worked on that family member's car for a little bit. I've worked on this a little bit. And then once my batteries charge up, I'm going to modify this fender a little bit and see what I come up with at this. Because honestly, these fenders aren't the greatest. So if I mess them up and it doesn't work out, I'll go find some other used ones and see what I can do with those. Or just leave them alone. We'll see. Alright, so far I've cut these tabs off that you would usually hold on the inner plastic fender well. Get that all nice and flushed up. I'll get that ground down so it's nice and even. Cut that one off over here. There was one right there. Then this piece was like the what the factory fender would have like had a bracket. This bracket would have bolted from here to the body, but I'll probably make something so I can actually do like quick disconnect tabs on it, so I can pull this fender off pretty easily. I won't have to take the whole front bumper off or something like that to get the fender off. Like on my Civic, I had quick latches, and then I just had the 3 bolts across the top, and I think I had a quick latch or 1 bolt down at the bottom. I don't know, but you know, that way I don't have to sit here and screw around with if I need to take the fender off or something, because I will be running my wiring either through the fender, or I'm thinking about trying to do like the wiring through the frame rail if it's actually open on the inside of the frame rail. But we'll have to see with that, because I'm going to try and do, like I said, the wiring through the frame rail. That way it's not in the wheel well. And then since this car was a cable clutch car, this is going to have a hydraulic line now, and it never had a place to put one. So I was going to try and do the same thing on this side. Basically drill a hole on the inside of the car and run a hydraulic line down the inside of the frame rail and come out either at this hole if that lines up, or back further or whatever. But I actually have the inside of the rails kind of open. I can fish something back there if it's open all the way through and be able to get a line through there, wires through there, and then have a quick connect here like I had on my Civic for the hydraulic clutch line. And then plans are to build maybe not a full core support, but a tubular core support for the front end of here to hold the headlights and like the intercooler. This car is going to have the same radiator setup as the Civic, which that's the radiator that came out of the Civic. And it's a rear mounted radiator. So I had the radiator in the back of the car where the factory fuel tank would go, and it worked great. I had no problems. I ran straight water and never had a problem with it overheating, and that was on a factory water pump. Still timing belt ran. I had pulled the thermostat out and it did perfect. Having that radiator all the way back there kept it away from all the hot stuff up here. And it just would drive down the road perfectly fine. Not overheat, not get too hot. I'd run it down the track. It wouldn't get hot, but it would. I know at one point I did have it AH day, and I had some protections built into the ECU that if it got to a certain water temperature, it would decrease boost. And I did have problems with that, but it was more because I was trying to idle going through the staging lanes and not pushing the car, because I also had a safety built into the computer. I know I need to get rid of these safeties because they screwed up my whole H day that year. But I also had a safety in the computer for if it didn't get warm enough, it would not build boost. So I had to have it within a certain range. So I would idle the car and I would run the car just like it would be on the street. But it was so hot that year, and sitting in the staging lanes for what seemed like hours, it would get up there and I was able to do my burnout. I was able to get up to the starting line on some of the passes, and it would let me get on my launch control. But as soon as I would let go of the clutch, it would basically go into its limp mode because it got too hot from, driving up the staging lanes, getting in the burnout box, staging the car, and then as soon as I was taking off, it would go into a limp. So it was kind of crappy. And then at that same point, I had left my computer that I've always tuned my ECU on, left it at home, and we had my buddy Jose's computer, and he didn't have the latest version of Hondata, so it wouldn't let me update any of the protections, and it completely messed everything up that year. I couldn't get it to make a full pass down the track. But I think that was more, just like I said, it was just a really hot day, sitting idling around in a bunch of other warm cars, and then you're doing your burnout, and as soon as you get up to the line, it was just like, yep, here's a protection. But now I'm moving over to an electric water pump, because now if something like that comes to Like, I'm sitting in the staging lanes. I can turn the water pump on, cool it off if it gets too warm real quick. If it's not getting warm enough, I could turn the water pump off. It's basically going to be set up like it's my thermostat. If it's starting to get too warm, it'll kick on by itself. If it's getting too cool, it'll kick off by itself and let the engine just warm up. So I'm fixing problems as I've gone through and messed with different things and changed different things, and I've learned, and now I'm updating them, if you would say. So hopefully once this car is on the road, it'll street perfectly fine, it'll track perfectly fine, because my biggest thing that I want to do with this car is, one, be able to go cruising around with my family, go to car shows just when we're around town, and then be able to do drag and drives. You know, this car does good when it actually gets on the track and actually doesn't break anything. But little by little, I've just gone through, and as I've broken stuff or as I've done things and tried to figure out different things that work better, I would run into a certain problem and I'd fix it. Like, I've broken both axles before, both rated to 500 horsepower. I don't even make 500 horsepower the last time it was out, but I snapped them, no problem. But now I've got drive shaft shot 5.9 axles, and I don't think there's going to be a way I'm going to break those for a long time. I've upgraded to a twin disc when it was in the Civic, the engine. I've upgraded the final drive gear to an Albin's final drive gear. I've upgraded the diff because I've broken multiple of those. So little by little, just go through, upgrade the things that I know I'm breaking, and fix the things that I need to fix. Now I'm hoping once I get it in this car, that was basically the plan, was figure out how everything's going to work. And then once I get it in this car, where this is the car I've had since I was 17 years old, I'm 36 now. Now I can actually have a car that's fast, I can enjoy on the street, drive to car shows, have fun with my family, go do drag and drives, have fun with it and enjoy it. And maybe someday hand it down to my son or one of my daughters or something like that. So there we go. I know I didn't cut it straight, but I want it to be at this body line when I'm done, so I cut it below it, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to cut it straight with a Sawzall. But now I could actually make a cutout to go here, and then I'll make a flange to basically go behind here to mount it to the body here. And then I'll have the same thing, quick connects here. So like I said, I could hit the couple quick connects here, maybe two there, couple bolts up top, pull the fender off, and then I don't know if I want to go too crazy with this, but I'm actually thinking about cutting up into the fender a little bit, so I can actually bend this out and flare it to actually make it look like to keep this edge, basically flare it out and then be able to fill the sections in with new metal, so I can actually have a metal wide body front end. But I don't know. We'll see about that. I was just thinking about that right before I started this video. But we'll see. Just the idea I started coming up with that I wanted to try out tonight. Never ends. Like I said, I've had this car since I was 17, and I bought it literally to modify it. And it was 100% stock when I bought it. And that's another thing I'm going to be doing too, is I was trying to figure out seat placement, figuring out how the pedals felt, where the seat was going to go, how low I needed to be, so I can start figuring out what I want to do for a seat bracket. Had the steering wheel in it, everything like that, because it was not in it. But I wanted to put it in it because I wanted to make sure I had enough room between the brake pedal assembly and the steering column. That right there is my electronic throttle pedal, because I'm going drive-by-wire. So I had to make sure everything was going to fit in there, because you can actually see from here where the master cylinders are going to be. Those are the flanges for the master cylinders. God, that was a huge bug. And it kind of gets close to the steering column, which is why, like I said, I want to get master cylinders before I start drilling holes to bolt it down to the pedal assembly bracket. But it all costs money. It costs money to buy metal to mount the seat. It costs money to buy metal to modify a fender. It costs money to buy metal to fill in all those holes. Even though I had it, from a while back, this couple of rusty pieces is what we have left. But it's just trying to balance life and still do what I'm passionate about. And, I want to include my family in my passion and show them the things that I grew up loving and the things that I grew up doing. I know I'm only 36, and some people might be watching this going, man, you're still young. Yeah. It goes quick. Heck, it feels like yesterday I was only like 25, 28. Now I'm 36 years old, and like, holy crap, life's going by quick. I need to do something. Well, this will be the next project. It's not a Honda, but a family member of mine hit a snowbank this past winter, and they messed up the front of this car pretty good. It's a 2013 Audi A4 Quattro, and they just need me to change the core support and all these coolers and bumper support. They already started trying to take some of it apart to do it themselves, and well, you see how it is. So we'll get the rest of it off and mounted back on there and fixed up with all the new coolers and new core support, bumper support. See how it goes. Well, I got the old core support off. This is the old one over here. Got the new used one with everything on it. Just trying to go through and make sure there's no little cracks or breaks in this one either. Nothing's wrong with this. Try and figure out if there's anything else on the car that's broken, because I did notice the AC compressor got hit a little bit. There was a plastic boost tube or whatever you want to call it, like a pressurized tube that had been busted up on this side. The headlight bracket for the passenger side has a bracket that's broken off of it, even though that was the side that didn't even really get the brunt of the hit. Got a new driver's side bracket. I just gotta bolt another piece off the back of that. That goes underneath the headlight. These are, for some reason, we've got two passenger side brackets. They're both missing the same piece right here. Same thing, missing that bracket. Other than that, just trying to go through and find everything so we're not putting this thing back together and finding out, oh crap, something's missing, something's broken, something's leaking. Alright, so today I'm out here working on this Civic of mine, the old Civic. This is going to be going to my buddy Jose, but I'm taking my suspension off of it, lower control arms, because this is going to be a strictly drag car for him. He's going to be changing up a lot of suspension and a lot of different stuff. But been measuring and trying to make sure that my suspension from this 93 Civic was going to fit on my 93 Integra. Now that I've gotten it all unbolted from the Civic, I have fit it to the Integra. Same lower control arm length, same strut, same bolt pattern at the top of the strut tower. Now I just gotta do that side. Yeah, and don't mind the mess. This car's been sitting for over 10 years. This is why I'm pushing to get this thing back on the road and back on the track. Be able to take it to car shows, drive around with my family, go into different events with it. Something I bought when I was 17 years old. Still with me. I know it wasn't much of a video. It's kind of jumping around, trying to explain some of the stuff, but follow along with what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to gain as many subscribers as I can. Try and put this car together. Show you guys how I'm doing it. Step by step, little by little. I know it's not going to go quick, but I mean, I would like to try and set some goals, and I know I've said to a couple of friends of mine that I'm trying to get to like 1,000 subscribers. You gotta have some kind of a goal. That's what the goal is right now. Get to 1,000 subscribers, then see where we go from there. I mean, I want to stick with this and try and show people how I've always done things and how I want to do things with this car. And the faster I can get it back on the track, back on the road, more videos I can do with this car. I'm always doing little projects. I need to start recording some of the other small projects. Like I've done a couple small projects on my pickup truck. I did just pick up an 02 Acura MDX as my daily driver because diesel was getting way too expensive. It was taking about $200 to fill my truck, and that wouldn't even last a week. So I've had a couple little projects I've done on that. I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing stuff like that. You know, me just kind of fixing little odds and ends on the car or different little projects like that. But Let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and just stick with me and you'll see how I do things, man. Thanks. Appreciate it.